But my God, was it entertaining and was it ridiculous? And it made me roll my eyes so hard it almost gave me a headache. But it was amazing. Also, Patrick Swayze's ass. We got a good glimpse of it. And that
Good.
alone.
Yeah, that was a pretty long shot of Patrick
Right?
Swayze's.
They just stopped on it. They were like, get your fill, ladies.
Lights, camera, and action. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared. And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
All right, welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Today we kind of have a double, but it's kind of like we're going to do our normal thing, watch an older movie, and we're going to watch a newer movie. And those movies are 1989's Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, and then we are going to watch the 2024 Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal. So we'll leave that. We'll put that one off to the side for now. Let's talk about what you remember about 1989's Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze.
Let me tell you what I remember about 1999's Roadhouse or 1989's Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. I remember a lot of it. I remember the Jeff Healey band. I remember Sam Elliott's. That's what I remember. I remember a lot of martial arts. And I remember barns being lived in. And I remember loving this movie so much. Also, Patrick Swayze, rest in peace. But my God, he was so sexy in this movie. So sexy. So cute.
I remember my best friend in elementary school coming to school one day saying, this weekend have to come over and watch Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. And I'm like, you made me watch Dirty Dancing. I'm not watching fucking No, he said it was, I remember him saying the fighting and the martial arts was so, but he like, and then we went over on the weekend, a couple of us, and we watched Roadhouse. I've seen it a couple times. I've seen it a few times, actually. Saw it then. We probably watched it a couple more times then. Probably caught it on HBO. Probably caught it on TBS, which would have been heavily
it was
edited.
On A&E a lot.
Yeah, and that's just horrible. You should not watch movies that way. I remember liking it. I remember it being cool.
Yeah.
I remember there being nudity, and I remember the fighting, and I remember just brawling. I do remember liking it.
I honestly, it's probably one of my. I haven't watched it in a while.
I have not seen this movie in a long time. Some 90s. It would have been in the 90s.
Oh no,
the last time
I've seen it. It was probably about
last week.
No, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe closer to 10.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not really watching a lot of cable television anymore. So, but I mean, whenever it would pop on, I'd be like, Roadhouse, and then I'd watch it. So good.
All right, well, let's take a look at the box office. March 19th, 1989, it came out. It had a budget of $15 million. It had a worldwide gross of $61 million, 30 in North America, and another 30 million around the world. So
Jesus.
Not bad. It opened in second place behind See No Evil, Hear No Evil with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. I love that movie. And its opening weekend, it had $5.9 million. So it did okay. And like we said, it was on TV a lot. And it was on, and I'm sure it was a pretty good renter. Like when you went to the video store.
So many girls' nights and girls' weekends and slumber parties would have had Roadhouse. You would have had a double feature of Roadhouse and Dirty Dancing. It would have been a Patrick Swayze weekend.
Or Ghost.
I hate that movie.
I know. I remember liking that movie.
I hate
haven't
that
seen it in
movie.
so long, but I do remember liking it.
One of my favorite things to say in life is a quote from that movie, but I hate the movie itself so much. But I'm constantly like, "Ooh, you in danger, girl."
Oh,
Whoopi
Whoopi
Goldberg
Goldberg.
said, "You in danger, girl," and I say it all the time to people.
All right, tell the tape. Roadhouse 1989. It's considered an action, mystery, and thriller. I don't know about that, but that's what Rotten Tomatoes said.
There's a mystery?
Yeah, I guess so. The mystery of how smoking hot Patrick Swayze. It's rated R. Awesome.
Mm.
And it comes in at a pretty hefty 1 hour and 52 minutes for a B action movie.
Wow, I never realized it was that long.
But if you never realize it, that means there was a lot going on and
Yeah,
entertained.
that bodes well for us.
Oh fuck. Taglines. These are good.
Hit me.
Dalton lives like a loner, fights like a professional, and loves like there's no tomorrow.
That's terrible.
Fuck. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
The dancing's over. Now it gets dirty.
yes. That was fantastic.
Dalton's the best bouncer in the business. His nights are filled with fast action, hot music, and beautiful women. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it.
That's not a tagline.
That's a
That's a
job.
whole that's a job description. That's a movie. That's a whole conversation. That's what that is.
That's what it bars used to put in the newspapers after this movie came out to get people to come and apply to be bouncers. I can be like Patrick Swayze. No, you're not. Synopsis. Okay, this I did not read, so here we go. The Double Deuce is the meanest, loudest, and rowdiest bar south of the Mason-Dixon line. And Dalton, that's right, his name's Dalton, Patrick Swayze, has been hired to clean it up. He might not look like much, but the Ph.D. educated bouncer proves he's more than capable. Seriously. Busting the heads of troublemakers and turning the Roadhouse into a jumping hotspot. But Dalton's romance with the gorgeous Dr. Clay, Kelly Lynch, puts him on the bad side of cutthroat local big shot Brad Wesley, Ben Gazzara. Wow, that sounds really bad.
Right?
like really bad.
It sounds terrible.
And
I love it.
Here is the poster. It's for those listening. It's just Patrick Swayze leaning up against a brick wall, a fake brick wall by the look of it. Roadhouse on the bottom. Patrick Swayze, and there the Double Deuce. Yeah, it's those cheesy taglines. And then there's 3 frames. One of him doing his karate pose, loving being the lover that he is, and a big car explosion.
Yes.
I would not hang this on a wall, but
I'd hang it on the wall without the 3 frames.
Actually, you know what? I would probably put that synopsis beside it and put those taglines beside it and make like a nice giant picture frame. Now that might be awesome. But it's not a bad it's not a great poster. This is a
Patrick Swayze vehicle.
Yeah. It's right in line with Dirty Dancing.
They used him to sell this. They were like, everybody else, there's other people in it, but Patrick Swayze.
Yeah. All right, Rotten Tomatoes. 46 critic reviews has this movie coming in at 41%. Huh.
I'm offended.
50,000 audience reviews comes in at 67%. So quite a bit of difference.
Yeah.
Like 26% difference. That's huge. That's over a quarter. Critic consensus is whether Roadhouse is simply bad or so bad it's good depends largely on the audience's fondness for Swayze and tolerance for violently cheesy action.
Oh, I have an exceptionally high tolerance for violently cheesy action.
Yeah.
So that probably is why I remember loving this movie so much.
All right. We will start with the fresh and you may begin.
I am ready. It isn't just so bad it's good. In its own bad way, it really is good. Sean T. Collins, Decider.
Harrington sells his collection of broad violence, including a monster truck attack, and fuming goobers with determination, putting in the effort to turn this 1989 release into the finest drive-in film of the 1970s. Brian Orndorff, Blu-ray.com, original score A-.
Wow. Roadhouse is the mother of all stop signs for channel surfers everywhere. David Metzger, Bullseye.com, original score 4 out of 5. Amen, David. Amen.
It's amazing how quickly an explosion, a ripped out throat, I forgot about that, or even 4 bangs in a row. That's right. They had that big love making scene. Can make other problems seem insignificant. Jay Boyer, Orlando Sentinel.
Roadhouse is a terrible movie. And by terrible, I mean awesome. Phil Villarreal, Arizona Daily Star, original score 4 out of 4. Thank you, Phil.
All right, Rotten. I will start. Your quintessential dumb macho guys movie with gratuitous sex and violence at every turn. That's not a bad review. John J. Puccio, Movie Metropolis, original score 5 out of 10. Gratuitous sex and violence at every turn. That's awesome.
Yeah, I see nothing wrong with that. Roadhouse is much funnier than most comedies until it turns vile instead of just stupid. Karen James, New York Times. Oh, sweetie, you were looking for intelligence in this movie.
Yeah, no.
First wrong move.
Though it doesn't say so anywhere in the film, Roadhouse must be set on another planet where the inhabitants resemble humans. This can't be the world I live in. Chris Hicks, Desert News, 0 out of 4.
Damn, that's cold. Roadhouse lays out its story with the subtlety of a wrestling match, and probably with less sharpness or savvy. Hal Hinson, Washington Post.
This is not a good movie, but viewed in the right frame of mind, it is not a boring one either. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times, original score 2.5 out of 4.
That's a glowing review.
IMDb. All right, you may start.
I'm ready.
Oh, wait. Roadhouse, 87,000 user rating, 6.7. I think that's exactly like the audience rating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave it 67%. Yeah.
All right, here we go. You may start.
Fantastic. This film is Dirty Dancing for guys. 10 out of 10. Alex 2203. I have never seen anything more accurate.
Honorable mention. And just think, Morgan Freeman and Miss Daisy drove away with the Oscar that year. 10 out of 10. Thomas B. Bloodhound.
A cartoon for adults without the animation. 9 out of 10. A different drummer. Yeah, that's good.
Watch this film 30 times. 8 out of 10. Jonathan 426-655-966.
A chicken fried steak of a movie, and I mean that as a compliment. 7 out of 10. Quinoa, 1984.
The King Kong of barroom brawl movies. 6 out of 10. A chin.
Here's an honorable mention. Too many nude chicks, not enough fighting. Basically, every girl featured in this movie ended up naked, which really took away from me enjoying this film. The fighting and the plot were fun, but yeah, as a woman, it's just a bit unfair for me. 6 out of 10, Haley Weasley.
Yeah, she spelt it wrong.
Yeah.
Haley Weasley. What's that? Harry Potter reference?
Maybe.
Yeah. Take your wand out of your ass. Just enjoy it.
I'll probably have the same argument where I'm like, do we really have to see everybody's tits all the time? And you're going to be like, more tits.
Yes, we do. It's 1989. The greatest Patrick Swayze movie ever. 5 out of 10. Mickey Mick. So the best Patrick Swayze movie ever gets a 5 out of 10. From Mickey Mick.
It's awful and it's awesome. 4 out of 10. Janimits?
Sure. A tawdry, violent mullet fest. 3 out of 10. Under Fire 35.
Fantastic. It's not the dumbest movie ever. 2 out of 10. Pat Sullivan, 10.
Holy Cheese Patrick. 1 out of 10. Jesse Crowder. All right. Well, there are the reviews. There's the box office, and we went through the movie itself, all but the trailer. So here we go. I'm excited.
Can I buy you guys a drink? Guess not.
Patrick Swayze is
Dalton.
I thought you'd be bigger.
Opinions vary.
When he's around, anything can happen,
How's a guy like you end up a bouncer?
Just lucky, I guess.
and usually does.
If somebody gets in your face, I want you to be nice.
Don't be rude.
Ask him to walk, but be nice.
Help this gentleman to the door.
Until it's time to not be nice.
So says the fighting philosopher.
He may be hard to handle,
I keep talking, you're gonna go off thinking I'm a nice guy.
I know you're not a nice guy.
but he's easy to like.
What's the matter, Dalton? Don't you like women?
Worst I ever had was wonderful.
He's not what you'd expect,
I thought you'd be bigger.
but there's one thing you can count on. He's the best friend a good time ever had.
You guys tired?
Doc, I'll get all the sleep I need when I'm dead.
This is my town.
I'm not afraid of him.
I guess you'll be having that fire sale now, all right?
You got your hands full, kid.
I just think I'm looking at a dead man.
Patrick Swayze,
For that line of work, I thought you'd be bigger.
Gee, I've never heard that before.
Roadhouse.
All right. What is your predictions for 1989's Roadhouse?
I think I'm going to love it. I think I am still going to love it so much with all my heart. I really, really think that, yes.
Yeah, this looks super cheesy. I'm not expecting it to be anything but cheesy. I'm looking for just B action entertainment. Yeah.
And a lot of sweaty Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, some just bad one-liners.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ridiculous fight scenes.
Yeah.
Where you're like, that could never happen in real life.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna like it. It's gonna be.
I think we're gonna love it. I'm ready for it. I'm into it.
All right. So that is 1989. So let's take a quick look. There's no box office for the new one because it's going straight to Prime. And there's a few. Actually, it's actually sitting at 80% so far with 18 reviews that have come in so far.
Oh wow!
For the new
Roadhouse,
starring Jake Gyllenhaal. So it's released this year, actually, and by the time this is out, it is released. It is an action drama, so it's not a mystery thriller. It is an action drama. It's rated R, thank God, and comes in at another hour and 54, I think 4 minutes shy of the original. So it's hefty too.
Yeah. I'm glad it's only a 2-hour movie.
Taglines. Take it outside.
I like that one.
For those listening, for those on YouTube watching, they released posters with all the main actors. This is Conor McGregor for this. Take it outside, and that is the only tagline. Synopsis, and those are the posters with Jessica Williams and Daniela Melchior. I do like her. I liked her in what was that superhero? Suicide Squad. I liked her in. She was the rat catcher. Yeah, she's been in a few things. She's pretty good.
Yeah.
And Jessica Williams, she looks really familiar in something that I just seen recently. I can't remember. Sorry, Jessica. Synopsis. Ex-UFC fighter Dalton takes a job as a bouncer at a Florida Keys roadhouse, only to discover that this paradise is not all it seems. it's
Okay, the ex-UFC fighter thing, I'm not saying I don't like it, but I'm not thrilled.
I think they really wanted to give him back in the day in the 80s and 90s. You didn't have to. Sometimes you were a Marine, sometimes you're an ex-cop, but you just knew karate or you knew how to fight. Nowadays, I think they want someone there's a reason why he's so good.
Yeah, well, because in the original, he literally has like a Ph.D. in like philosophy. But that was part of the
charm.
Yeah, it was part of the charm of the movie because it was so unexpected that this guy would be super violent.
Yeah.
I kind of expect
And still
violence from UFC
philosophical.
fighters.
Philosophical. Ah. And the poster, Jake Gyllenhaal, Roadhouse. Take it outside. It's just a bar with Jake Gyllenhaal sitting there with his shirt open. He does look cut for this movie.
He looks so cut for this movie.
He's got actual cuts on him. He's bleeding a bit. He's got some tattoos. That poster's all right.
Yeah, it's a good poster.
Yeah.
I'd prefer. Oh, is that her body in the background on the floor?
Oh, is that a body on the back of the floor? Let's see. It might be. Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
is.
I
Yeah,
think it
because the
is.
chairs are all broken and stuff.
Because
Okay, yeah.
I literally thought to myself, if there were some bodies in the background, and then I noticed, I'm like, I think those are legs.
Yeah. And I've read some stuff where they knew what they were making. They knew they were making a silly action movie, and I'm glad that they're not trying to make it something that it's not.
Hallelujah, praise Jesus.
All right, so let's take a look at the trailer for Roadhouse 2024.
Before we start, do you have insurance? What? Your coverage good? Like, you have dental? Oh, haha. Is there a hospital nearby? Is it like too far?
About like 25 minutes, I'd say.
I just slapped you. Are you all right?
What?
So you like to fight? You ever win?
No one ever wins a fight.
This ain't the Holiday Inn, pal.
I'm moving.
A friend of mine suggested I come talk to you. I own a roadhouse out in the Florida Keys. Lately, it's been attracting the wrong clientele. I can pay you good money. Judging by your car, you need that.
Well, I like my car.
Think about it.
I know who you are. Elwood Dalton. Big fan, man.
That guy's got a knife under his shirt. You just take a big step back and pop me in the face. You can do it.
Tell me about this bouncer.
Yeah, it's all nice, like he's Mr. Rogers or something, but then he'll haul off.
Really interesting guy, overall. Brand wants to take the roadhouse away from me. He wants to build some resort.
I should warn you. People have a certain way of getting things done around here.
Hey, fellas. Looks like you're having a smashing night. Dalton! I got a tip for you. Don't let no one get this close.
Let me guess. You know, threaten me. Tell me to get out of town.
I get the impression that you can't be threatened.
Once Knox is on the job, it's over, baby.
It takes a lot to get me angry, but when I am, I just can't let go. People seem a little aggressive around here.
Is that one in front of yours?
No, I just broke his arm.
It looks ridiculous.
It does look ridiculous in a good way.
In a good way. Yeah. No, 100%.
It looks like they took Roadhouse from 1989. It's just, and they just like, you know what? Let's just make it fun and stupid.
Yeah. They were like, let's
fine.
just make a joke out of it. And I'm cool with it because look, this is not Shakespeare, okay?
No.
Roadhouse from the 80s is not Shakespeare. Patrick Swayze is not Sir Ian McKellen. Like, he's not like, we're okay. And I think this is fun. And also, I can't wait to see Conor McGregor and how, because from the clips, he looks entertaining.
Yes.
A little batshit crazy, but entertaining.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see how he is for an entire movie.
Yeah, because what I saw, you're exactly right. Like, again, he's not. He's not an actor doing Shakespeare. No, but it looks like he's slipped into this entertaining acting role because it looks fun.
Yeah. I have a feeling. God, I really hope this feeling is. I have a feeling I'm gonna like it.
Yeah, me too. I really do hope to like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are going to go watch Roadhouse from 1989 with Patrick Swayze, and we are going to go watch Roadhouse from 2024 with Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor. And when we come back, we are going to review both of them.
Yeah. Huh?
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
All right. Holy mullets and cheese, Batman. This movie had everything in an 80s action movie you could want and then some.
Oh my God, yes. Much, yes.
So did you watch Roadhouse from 1989?
I did, my friend.
All right. What's your initial thoughts?
I fucking loved it. I knew I would, and I was so glad. It was cheesier than I remember. It was more extreme than I remember. But my God, was it entertaining, and was it ridiculous? And it made me roll my eyes so hard it almost gave me a headache. But it was amazing. Also, Patrick Swayze's ass. We got a good glimpse of it. And
that was a pretty long shot of Patrick.
Right? They just stopped on it. They were like, "Get your fill, ladies. And like, gentlemen, get your fill."
The cameraman was definitely a lady
or a man. Could have been anybody.
Could have been anybody.
Because it's Patrick Swayze's ass. Anyways, did you get to watch?
Yes, I did. My initial thoughts, if I could have the time, I would have grown out my hair into a mullet and got one of those white wrap shirts he wore in the movie.
Wasn't that amazing?
And then do a comparison side by side. It would, because when I thought of that, I'm like, that would have been just like the SNL skit with Patrick Swayze, where he's the Chip and Dale dancer
with Chris Farley.
And everyone watching would be, I thought that guy died in the 90s.
Oh my God.
No, I miss movies like this. Start out ridiculous and just keep going up from there.
Right?
Over the top, everything, action, acting, one-liners. I mean, this had it all: mullets and boobies and good acting and bad acting and good action scenes, and some that made you scratch your head, and cartoon villains and more boobies, and Patrick Swayze's good looks, abs, and like you said, his ass.
Yeah, man.
There was something for everyone in this movie.
There really was.
All right. So let's go through this 80s cheese fest of a movie. Okay, so James, I didn't even know his first name was James. James Dalton is really, his name is James Dalton in this?
I guess so.
Okay.
They never say his first name in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Ever. So we have no fucking idea.
I guess it's James. And one of the main villains is Jimmy. So there you go. He's a professional bouncer working security for a club in New York City. Although stoic and cool-headed, Dalton is tormented by memories of a man he killed in self-defense by ripping out his throat. Okay, we don't get that bit of information till much later on. But here we get Frank, played by Kevin Teague,
I think.
Yeah, who's in a lot of... Usually he's the bad guy in movies. Yes. And he's usually great in his movies, but he's a good guy in this one. So he comes to this swanky New York club and sees all the high-class boys in 80s suits. It's obvious Miami Vice was huge around this time.
Well, that's what like swanky clubs, that's how you dress to go to swanky clubs in the 80s. Yeah. It was business, and that poured into the 90s.
Yes.
And the early 2000s, because I remember clubbing in business casual constantly. Which is weird now, but I mean, back then that was the height of fashion.
Yeah. And then we got girls still rocking the 80s hair, even though the 90s were just around the corner. Skin tight dresses. Thank you.
Lots of cutouts on the dresses.
Yeah, lots of cutouts. Some still had the 80s football shoulder pads. And Frank is seeing the club packed and money being brought in, hand over fist, plastic gold cards. I mean, I don't know if everyone caught it, but Frank had a boner, and it wasn't because of the ladies. It was all the business that was going on. And those non-computerized digital cash registers
Oh my God.
They are just ringing up the money. It didn't look like a lot today, like the money that was coming in, since some people have to take a loan to do grocery shopping now. But back in '89, it was making a lot of money. And we get to see Dalton, Patrick Swayze, pretty quick. And he's rocking out as the band's playing.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed the guy, the band that was playing, the lead singer, it was bugging me. So I had to look it up. He's the lead singer in the Titty Twister, which was the bar from Dusk Till Dawn. The Quinn,
Okay.
Robert Rodriguez. Sorry.
Oh, wait. I think the group is called the one that plays in the movie. Now he may have a new band later, but the one that plays in the movie, because when the credits were rolling, I was reading the credits. The Cruzados, I think it was.
Yeah, and he left that band and created another band, but he appeared, and that band appeared in From Dusk Till Dawn. So we see Dalton rocking out, trying his hardest not to break out and start dirty dancing. And just as Dalton is about to tell someone not to put some chick's name in the corner, a fight breaks out. I don't know if this guy was trying to pay for sex because he slides 100 over to this girl.
Mm.
And she's like, she didn't take it very well and stabs his money.
With a nail file.
Was it a nail file? I wasn't sure if it was a knife.
It was a nail file.
No,
it was a nail file. It was a fucking nail file, because I was like, my mom used to carry one of those in her purse.
But it was almost like he was defending himself. Like, she's stabbing his money. But Dalton comes over and is like, I think it's time for you to leave. And he's like, okay. And the other bouncers let him go. And then he stabs Dalton because he has an actual knife. And everyone's like, oh, no, he didn't. And the guy's like, let's go dancing,
use a knife.
boy.
He used the nail file.
Oh, did he use the nail file?
He grabbed the nail file.
Oh.
And this is where I was like, this is not true. Because yes, the nail file is sharp, but it's not sharp enough to break skin.
Yeah, that was a pretty good cut for a nail file.
Yeah. I was like, that's a little...
I don't know if you need that many stitches.
No.
So this guy is like, let's go dancing, boy. I think I can take you. Dalton's like, let's go outside. The two guys leave and Dalton follows. Yeah, it would have been awesome if he dirty danced behind them. Every time they turned back, he stopped.
Did
grabbing chicks and dipping them and smacking them with his balls or something. I don't know. And then they go outside and they're like, let's do this. And Dalton's like, no, and walks away.
He doesn't even say no. He just like shakes his head and turns around.
He's like, no, we're not doing this. So Frank Tillman. Okay, so I'm back at Wikipedia. Frank Tillman, a local business, recruits Dalton to take over security at his club, the Double Deuce, in Jasper, Missouri. Tillman plans to invest a substantial funds into the dilapidated club and needs Dalton's high regarded skills to tackle the endemic violence and rough customers. So the movie does a great job actually of setting up Dalton. Dalton has this club running smoothly. The money is flowing. The rowdies are taken care in a manner that doesn't stop the party.
And they make it clear that Frank is like, this is what I want. That like he's very pleased with what he sees.
Yes.
You don't even need the dialogue. He's
just looking around, smiling, and he wants what that is.
Yeah.
So he goes in the back to talk to Dalton, who's stitching his own cut. So we also get.
Can we just flag something with this?
Yeah.
Dalton starts stitching his own cut. He has not cleaned it yet.
No.
He's not a stupid man. He's stitched himself before. Clean it and then stitch it. That pissed me off so much. Anyways, go on.
Yeah. Well, it's showing that he's not just smooth and sexy, but he's also super tough.
Yeah.
We also get a throw in of Wade Garrett, where when he says, I want to hire the best, and you want Wade Garrett, he's the best. That's just kind of thrown in there for story development. So he wants Dalton. So do the ladies. And he offers them $500 a night, and he has to pay all the medical bills and some money up front, I believe.
Yes, $5,000 up front.
Yeah. Dalton agrees in exchange for full authority over the club's operations, immediately firing several employees for poor behavior, theft, and drug dealing. Okay, so Dalton gives his car away to that old guy. I've seen that old guy in more than one movie. I have, like, he's very familiar, and I don't know what movies but he's been in some 80s movies. He heads down to the Double Deuce in Jasper, Missouri. We get a look at the bar, the staff, bouncers, the clientele. Morgan is the head bouncer, played by Terry Funk, who actually looked like he would be terrifying in reality. And I remember him from 80s wrestling. But yeah, he looked like a genuine scary dude. Not in the movie, like in real life, he would be a genuine scary dude.
Well, he was a big, beefy dude who looked like he had anger management issues.
Yeah, and he had like constant anger face. Yeah, we got one of the waitresses dealing drugs in the bathroom. The sleazy bouncer just hitting on underage drinkers.
Yeah.
There were a couple decent bouncers. The funny waitress, Kathleen Wilhoit. Yeah, she's been in quite a few things.
Yep, Carrie Ann. She's my favorite. Loved her.
The bartender skimming off the top.
That guy's gross.
Side note, he was also a shit bartender. Those beers he was serving, so much head on them. Like
they didn't know.
Only a bit of beer.
But that's every bartender in this like movie.
Yeah,
None of them know how to like pull a draft. I was like, guys, I would have been fired when I was bartending if I pulled that shit.
I would have been pissed if I got one of those beers. I'm paying for this. Let's see. Oh, and I forgot how much I like Jeff Healey.
Right? Okay, I remember the Jeff Healey band, but for some reason, it was like I was listening to them anew, like when I was watching this, because I was like, right, they were super bluesy and like, because I have the idea of him as like a Canadian icon, but I didn't necessarily remember his music. So when I was listening to him, I was like, oh my God, he really was so talented. Now I want to Google him on like Spotify and listen to his music.
Yeah.
He's so talented.
Yep. Frank the boss comes in, fixes some of that graffiti. You call it graffiti when it's...
Yeah.
It was for a good fuck call, but he puts like for a good Buick.
Yeah. It's graffiti still. Even if it is right next to the payphone.
Yeah. And this movie is so cheesy right from the get-go. Like that whole bit where the guy's like, you like her tits? You can kiss him for $20. And Buddy's just over there and he starts fondling that whole bit. And he's like, aren't you gonna kiss him? He's like, I can't. I don't have $20. Brawl starts.
Honestly, there's so much about like everything that's like bad behavior at a bar, like even dive bars, bad behavior at bars. Everything was happening in this place all at once.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, you guys are taking it too far. And like the minute it's like everybody was just waiting for a bar fight to break out.
Yeah, just
they were just like, so now I kick somebody's ass, and it was a little cartoonish.
And some of it, like some of the parts of the scene were good. Were very well choreographed. Some of them were silly. Like the guy that was just enjoying the fight like a lot, like he's special. And then the waitress throws the beer, misses the one guy, and hits that guy.
And then he's just super surprised. He's like, what?
Yeah. The other waitress hitting a guy with her tray. Yeah.
And then a bottle of beer. She's like, take that.
Very reminiscent to those old Western style brawls that would break out. Which really, when you look at this movie, that is exactly what it was. It was the hero coming to a town, the villains and the bad guys. Yeah. Which was fine. So for privacy, he stays in a sparse barn owned by a farmer named Emmett. Oh, just a note here. Most of these people, these characters are named actually after Western, like Emmett, Doc, like Doc Holliday, Dalton, the Dalton gang. If you go and look at the Wade Garrett is actually one of the Garrett brothers. They're all named after Western outlaws and sheriffs and whatnot. Unaware that the mansion across the adjacent lake is owned by crime lord Brad Wesley, who effectively controls the town through bribery, intimidation, and violence. Okay, so before this happens, first he parks his Mercedes BMW, buys a piece of shit. You understand why later on, because even I don't know how quickly it took, but I'm like, why is he fucking buying a piece of shit? You have that nice car, dude, and you find out why very quickly.
Yeah. The first time you watch this movie, you're like, he's giving his car to a homeless man.
Yeah.
Like in New York, he's like, he's giving his, and then he drives away in a Mercedes, and you're like, oh, okay, I don't understand, but fine. And then he buys a shit car, and you're like, what? And then you see why after
Yes.
his like first official night working.
Yeah, actually makes total sense. Goes to the farm where someone is renting out a room. Nice room. If it wasn't actually connected to the barn openly, it was a sweet setup.
And if it had a bathroom,
Yeah, I didn't see a bathroom.
there's a full kitchen, no bathroom.
Usually barns have like rat access or mice access, and you just have a whole open wall.
Yeah. Fully
But
open staircase, no doors.
no doors.
No doors. And there's a kitchen, but there's no bathroom. I'm like,
No
so you
bathroom.
managed to run plumbing for the sink, but you didn't think about putting one in for a toilet
Yeah, you go pee in the barn and
or a shower?
Emmett puts out a bucket. But it was $100 a month. I'd take
Yeah.
it. The guy
Me
would be
too.
like, just you? I'd be like, yep. Just me and these 8 children behind me. The farm is owned by Emmett, played by Sunshine Parker. Once you see him, very recognizable actor from the 80s and every decade before that.
Yep.
Then we see Brad Wesley, played with cartoon villainy. Ben Gazzara.
Gazzara. Yeah. I actually made a note about that. I was like, this is so. Brad Wesley is quintessential villain, very two-dimensional and perfect.
Yeah.
Like he's just off his rocker. I'm going to be the villainous villain of all villainy.
Oh, he must
for
have
all time. And I'm like, yes,
had
sir.
a
Yes, you
blast
are.
playing this.
Oh, they were like, go bad, go worse, go just like terrible. And he was like, okay, I got you.
I like the part where he has his helicopter pilot buzz low
Yeah.
to freak out Emmett's horses. Wesley's nephew, Pat, one of the fired employees, intimidates Tillman into giving him his job back and then attacks Dalton, who badly injures Pat and his accomplices. Okay, so Frank said he wants to redo the bar, but before that, he wants to start cleaning up the clientele and staff.
Mhm.
Dalton fires Morgan. He's too hot-tempered. Fires the bartender, Pat. He's skimming. Fires the drug-dealing waitress.
Yep.
Then he explains his whole be nice. If someone's being rude, be nice. Ask them to leave, but be nice. And the pedo bouncer is like, what if he calls my mom a whore? Don't like it. I like it when he's like, is she? Just be nice. And it's unfair to call him a pedo. I'm assuming the girls were at least 18.
If he says you're going to be my special guest to someone who's walking in with a fake ID, I don't care who you are. You're gross.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's 21. In most states, I think it's 21.
Actually, in all the states, it's 21.
Is it all states?
All
Okay.
the states. The legal drinking age is 21, which is that's a discussion for another day. You can vote or join the army at 18, but they don't trust you to stop drinking when you're too drunk.
Don't drink though.
Till 21.
So that night we get the first night with Dalton running the show, and it does not disappoint. And my only complaint, some of these customers that Dalton beats up, like, how do I say? They're not very threatening looking. Like, don't get me wrong, you never know. Never assume. But kind of like that goober in the Hawaiian shirt at the first one. And he has his girlfriend dancing on the table. Dalton tells one of the bouncers to get her down. Guy pulls a knife. I do like how Dalton twists his arm and then slams his face on the table.
Yes.
The table just breaks. I'm like, that's awesome.
I like the way Dalton always handles the physicality of it. It's like a quick strike. It's a quick move. Disable them and move them out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, that's perfect.
So, yeah, it was very cheesy.
So cheesy.
So every chick in the bar wanted to bang Dalton after that. If I die, I want to come back as Patrick Swayze. I heard he was like a very loving husband and all around awesome guy.
I have literally never heard a bad word about him, even from Jennifer Grey, who had the worst time filming Dirty Dancing with him.
Yeah.
They butted heads professionally, but she was like, we didn't get along professionally, but he was a really good person. He was really great. He kept trying. We just had a difficult time. And I was like, oh, even when you don't have a good working time, you're like, but he was really great.
Yeah, if I was Patrick Swayze, I'd be a douche.
Yes, you would be. But thankfully, you're not Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze was Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
So unfair. And then we get like cheesy things like someone saying, "Who is that guy?" Then Jeff Healey is like, "That's badass is Dalton." I'm like, what the fuck is going
But it's fun. I think it's during this because Carrie Ann, or no, I think it was before this. Carrie Ann's like, "Do you know who that is? That's Dalton." And
Yeah,
all
so it
starts
made its
making
way around the
rounds.
bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then someone said, "Oh, he killed someone by ripping out his throat."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I figured rumor that got exaggerated because that's, how you build up
Yeah.
the thing. So I was like,
cred.
oh, okay, yeah. That's the rumor that got he probably just broke somebody's neck, not ripped out their throat. Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Then the sleazy bouncer gets fired mid bang.
Mm.
And he's like, but I'm on my break.
Like that makes it okay to bang a potentially underage girl in the stock room.
But I'm on my break. Then at the end of the night, we see Dalton's car. His wheels are knifed. His windows are all smashed. Then you get that's why he got a shit car. And then we get waitress Carrie coming to Dalton's barn with breakfast.
Yes.
And for the ladies, we get to see a very prolonged shot of Patrick Swayze's ass.
Now, I'd like to point out, I think at this point we have seen some titties.
Yes.
Not excessive titties, but some titties.
We've seen
so
some.
we were owed a long shot at Patrick Swayze's ass. And it was a very nice ass.
Yeah, he definitely works out.
100%.
Yeah. Then we also get to see Patrick, like a glistening Patrick Swayze doing yoga and shirtless karate poses. Whatever.
He was doing Tai Chi. That's where his philosophy degree goes.
All throughout the movie. Yeah. Receiving a knife wound in the process, Dalton visits a hospital where he befriends and eventually romances Elizabeth. I didn't know her name was Elizabeth. Doc Clay, a nurse to whom Wesley is also attracted. Isn't she a doctor?
She is a doctor.
Yeah, okay. So they have her as a nurse. She's a doctor.
She's a doctor who dresses super cute for working in a hospital.
Oh, can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
I had a crush on Kelly Lynch.
Gee, what a surprise. I never would have known. Her hair was getting on my nerves, but I also want to give props to the hair department of this movie.
For keeping it up for so long?
For doing what they did, because I was like, man, she's got that kind of hair that doesn't want to do anything. And you could tell that hair department worked so hard because they were like, this hair won't hold a curl. It won't stay up. I don't know how much hairspray they used, but God bless. They kept that hair up and out. And I was like, God bless you guys. You did well.
I'm sure this whole movie set reeked of hairspray.
It was Aquanet, Oda Aquanet all day, every day.
And she wasn't playing hard to get either. Like,
honestly, she was so flat. I was like, you're not even doing like coy flirting. You're just kind of like half smiling sometimes. And I was like, if I was flirting with you, I wouldn't know if you were interested.
Yeah, no. And really, they say all of 10 words, like combined.
Right.
Where they're banging.
Well, no. First, they went out for coffee.
Yeah, and even that wasn't a really long conversation.
No. And then the next night they're banging.
And they're banging.
God, that sex scene confused me, but okay.
Fucking Patrick Swayze.
Fucking Patrick Swayze.
Must have been so hard being him. But I think Wesley dated her, the bad guy, Ben Wesley.
Wesley was interested in her.
Was interested in her?
He was like painting after her, but she turned him down.
Right, okay. And one of the fucking stupidest one-liners, when Dalton refuses the local anesthesia, and she's like, you must like pain. He's like, pain don't hurt. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's the definition of pain.
No, he was showing that he had his Ph.D. in philosophy.
Yeah.
He was philosophizing.
He was hitting on her.
Too bad whoever wrote this script did not have a PhD in philosophy.
No, or the basic concept of the English language. Okay. I did like the scene too. We see Wesley driving.
Yes.
And he's listening to that old 40s music and just swerving all over it's his. Yeah. And almost hits Dalton.
And he's not even worried about it.
No, he didn't care. He's like,
he didn't care. He
Look at
wasn't
that.
mad or happy about it. He was just like,
No.
this is what I do. If you die, you die.
After sending his henchmen to unsuccessfully try to disrupt business at the Double Deuce, Wesley offers to hire Dalton himself. So we're introduced to Denise, Wesley's girlfriend, and then she hits on Dalton.
Yep.
And then when Wesley tries to hire Dalton, we see Denise and her face is all bruised up.
Yep.
A few hours later, like in the movie time lapse, those bruises are gone. She heals
of course
very well. But she looks bruised, so we know that she got smacked around a bit.
Yeah.
For hitting on Dalton. Dalton refuses Wesley, uses his connections to prevent the Double Deuce from... Oh, hold on. Dalton. Okay, so Wesley's putting a kibosh on their liquor license because all of a sudden, Keith David? Keith David pops up. Is it Keith David? The bartender.
Oh, yeah, it's Keith David.
Yeah, who had already done... I don't know. I'm like, is that Keith? And it was Keith David. And I'm like, what the fuck? What are you doing in this movie?
He was so young.
Yeah, but he had already
sure.
done like They Live, The Thing.
100%.
He's done all these big movies. I'm like,
he's in everything, but I was like, oh, I never realized it was him.
Yeah, he did look very
young.
young.
I was like, you look familiar, you sound familiar. Anyways, he alerts Dalton and Tillman, that they are running low on whiskey.
Yes,
But
and
Tillman
Wesley
admits Wesley is blocking their liquor deliveries because they're not able to get anyone from their regular.
Yeah.
And then Dalton, in
uses
Dalton
his
fashion,
connections.
says, give me the phone. And
Yeah.
that's it. And then all of a sudden they're getting delivered whiskey.
Yeah.
And Tia Maria.
Dalton uses his connections to cure some supplies and reunites with his mentor, aging bouncer Wade Garrett, who comes to town after receiving a disconcerting call from Dalton. During this time, we also meet Red, who we find out is Sexy Doc's uncle. He owns the garage Dalton uses to keep fixing his car. Dalk and Dalton go on a date. That's where they go to the diner. She drops him off. His wheels are slashed again. A stop sign's in his window. And then she's like, see ya. I'm like,
yeah,
you can offer him a ride home.
No.
He's obviously not driving home. Then we get to see Wade Garrett, who some might argue a very sexy man himself, Mr. Sam Elliott.
Who is arguing? Who? Sam Elliott in this movie is one of the sexiest men ever. Like, he's walking sex in this. He's sexier than Patrick Swayze in this movie. Okay, Patrick Swayze is sexy.
I was actually going to ask.
Sam Elliott is sexier.
Is sexier?
100%. And I will fight anyone and everyone on that because Patrick Swayze in this movie. Okay, Dalton has a very philosophical swagger, which is not that pronounced. However, Wade Garrett has sex on legs swagger. Like, he's like, I got this. Life is easy. And it's hot. It's so hot. Even with the inconsistent limp that he's got.
Yeah.
So hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, his hair is fucking amazing.
Yeah. Because he has a lot more charm. Like when he's flirting with, even though it's a friendly flirting thing, he's a lot more convincing than Dalton is.
The only thing that is a little discomforting is the eye contact he maintains with Doc when they're dancing.
Oh,
I'm like, that would make me super uncomfortable. But I will maintain that much eye contact if I'm going to be able to hit it. Like, but if I'm not, then why are we looking into each other's eyes? But I was like, that's hot, but weird. But I'd be very uncomfortable. But other than that, Wade Garrett, sexier than Dalton.
And this is when Wesley's henchmen start smashing the liquor delivery. Morgan, the old bouncer, is now hired by them. Wade walks out back and they're holding Dalton and punching the shit out of him. And Wade's like, how's it going? What's his name? Miho. And then they kick their asses. And then we're back to Wikipedia here. Wesley sends his men to destroy the Double Deuce's supplies, but Dalton and Garrett defeat them. Oh, okay, I got to hit myself. One evening, the auto shop adjacent to the Double Deuce, owned by Elizabeth's uncle Red, is destroyed in an arson attack. Okay, before that, Doc and Dalton do it like bang. Very difficulty, might I add.
Can I tell you? Hold on. I made notes.
So did I.
I said, this is some very unsafe, but also fully clothed sex.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how you going to not even, no foreplay.
Nope.
No making out. Like they
Nope.
kind of hover over each other's mouths for a hot second. And then all of a sudden, pants are gone. She's not wearing any underwear. And then he's in there. Nobody's taken off any clothing.
I think that's part of Patrick Swayze's power.
Just all of a
That's
sudden.
his superpower. Your clothes are gone and he's in there.
No, he was in there before the clothes were gone. She was up against the wall, which, by the way, kind of hot. But also, I wanted some more noises. Her face was not very, I'm having a good time, which was a little annoying. But I was like, girl, you're with Patrick Swayze. And then he carries her to the bed. Wild dancing.
Yeah.
Some of their sex moves were a little gyrational.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I'll be honest. I would not be able to make love to my wife like that. Her back would have slid down that brick wall. I would have thrown my back out. It would look very awkward. And some might say horrifying to watch.
Look, while there are some men who can achieve that, the vast majority of men cannot. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to, like, romance novel Patrick Swayze sex scene your life.
Oh, thank God.
That's fine. Okay, 99% of the time, women are like, just put me in a comfortable position, maybe on a piece of furniture, and we're good. We'll go from there. Because not all of us, do you know how hard it is to keep your legs wrapped around a guy?
Oh, yeah.
And hold yourself up?
Yeah.
And move your body? No, please. That's a lot of work, okay? And every once in a while, it's nice. But you know what? It's kind of like a fancy anniversary dinner. You do it once a year, maybe twice if you're feeling super frisky. But this is not an everyday occurrence. God bless.
No, and I could see a lot of fights that started watching this movie where wives or girlfriends would be like, why don't you do that to me? And every comment that followed, whatever it might be, started a fight.
Because 99% of them would be like, I'd throw my back out. But they're not saying, not because the woman that they're with is larger, because they're weak.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
sure
have the
some men
strength
said
to
that
hold you
because
up.
they're larger. Like, are you
A lot of them
kidding
are
me?
probably like, I can't lift you. But the way it makes it sound is you can't lift her because she's too big.
Yeah.
Where in reality, it's you can't lift her because you're weak. And there's a difference. I say women just stop asking for that shit. Unless you have a man who's willing and like Jason Momoa sized or like Dwayne Johnson or John Cena. They can lift.
Yeah.
Those guys are squatting like 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
They can lift. Tom, who works at the tire place, he can't lift shit.
No.
Don't expect that from him. You're just setting yourself up for failure and disappointment. Anyways, so the acrobatic, super dirty dancing sex scene with no protection.
Yeah. So we also get to see Kelly Lynch's boobies. So
True.
score. And her bum.
But that only happened after they had sex.
Yeah.
You didn't get to see it during the sex.
No. A lot of smoking in this movie. Like, he smokes a lot.
He does. And you can tell he's a smoker. Like, he was an actual in real life smoker. Because you can always tell when the actor is not a real life smoker.
Yes.
Patrick Swayze was. And honestly, he was a sexy smoker. It's kind of hot.
Yeah. And then she goes and kisses him. I'm like, ugh, gross. Like, mouthing an ashtray. Ugh. Back to the garage arson. I don't know what they used, but it wasn't just setting it on fire. Like, they set off a bomb because that fucker exploded.
Well, you also have to keep in mind that place was filled with motor oil. Probably had gasoline.
Yeah.
It
was a car shop.
Lots of flammable shit was in there. I mean, I'm sure they probably put like a stick of dynamite or a grenade or something in there because Brad Wesley, he's fucking cartoon villain.
Yeah, twirling his mustache. After Dalton and the crowd return inside the Double Deuce, they find Wesley waiting for them. He has his men fight Dalton's bouncers and damage the bar before agreeing to leave. Actually, psychopath Jimmy, he grabs his pool cue and starts spinning around like he's a samurai warrior and invites everyone to fight him. Dalton is like, better you guys than me. And then Jimmy kicks the shit out of them all. Big fight ensues, and we see Wade Garrett fight. We see the bouncers fight. Everyone's fighting, and then it just stops because Wesley fires his guns to end it and decides to go home. Wesley sabotages another business as the local owners discuss their futile efforts to stop him. And by sabotage, it means they actually drive a monster truck through a car dealership lineup of cars inside the building.
Super helpful.
I'm like, that's a little over the top. And this is all because Wesley found out they were going to try to stand up to them. I'd be more concerned on how Wesley found out, but that is never explored.
No, it's not. But it's also, I mean, it's not. All they have to do is be seen talking to Red.
Yeah.
Because Red resisted Wesley. And then they had that cute little meeting where Red's like, I just won't pack up and leave. Fuck this shit. And the car salesman guy was like, but you have insurance. Don't you have insurance? And he was like, it blew up my business.
Yeah, because when he gets his card thing done, his car dealership
when Red walks over and says, don't you have insurance?
Yeah.
I was like, Red, kicking him while he's down.
Maybe that's why the movie is categorized as a mystery. Both Elizabeth and Garrett attempt to calm Dalton, trying to assuage his guilt about killing Swayze. Why didn't you say fucking trying to sound smarter than I'm not. About killing in self-defense and his frustrations at being unable to end Wesley's campaign. However, Emmett's home is blown up by Wesley's henchman, Jimmy, although the former is saved. An enraged Dalton fights Jimmy and rips his throat out, killing him, much to Elizabeth's shock and disgust. Okay, like I said, this escalated very quickly. I mean, from barroom brawls to monster truck mayhem and bombs going off while the old dude's still in the house. The fight scene was pretty good, though. I mean, for 1989, this was a decent fight.
It was. The only thing that really brought itself where I was like, what? They were fighting in sand. Now, while it looks better and it's easier on the performer's feet than fighting, say, on rocks or even grass, I was like, why is there sand on the riverbank on a farm? Like, I was like, that makes no sense, but okay, whatever, it's fine. But yeah, no, the fight was pretty good, and it just like it kept going. It was a very, very long fight scene.
Yeah, and I do remember watching a behind the scenes thing back in the day when this came out on HBO. Whatever channel it came out on, not regular TV, but a pay TV channel. And they had both the actors were talking about this scene, and they were showing clips of the martial arts, and they wanted to make it look so good that they kind of went full out on the first scene, like not trying to kill each other, but letting some punches and kicks connect. And then they were saying that after the first run through, they were so sore and hurt that they realized they had to dial it down because they had to keep doing the scene over and over again.
They're like, dude, we still got to do this 4 more times. The other one's like, I can barely walk.
Yeah.
What? Hold on. I'm good. Sorry, I just realized this because I was looking for a note because I was like, oh shit, I didn't remember that. But this is what when Dalton has the sex scene, I call it the sex scene. Anyways, I wrote a note about Wesley across the lake being a creeper on a rocking chair made of cowhide. What? And then Jimmy and his pool cue. I called it pool cue kung fu. That's the note I wrote. It also said Swayze has impressive cheekbones. I don't know why I wrote that, but we're gonna go with it. But this was what I was gonna say. Jimmy at one point says something when he has
the one-liner
Dalton in a hold, and he says, "I used to fuck guys like you in prison." And I was like,
made the same note,
sir. I do not remember that line at all.
Was one of the best, if not the best, one-liner. I fuck guys like you in prison. I forgot all about
guys
that.
like you in prison. I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, I don't know what you're into, sir, because you're getting your ass kicked too. I was like, what? Do you think this is going to make him more compliant?
After I watched this movie, I now use this one-liner all the time. Getting out of my Uber, paying the pizza delivery guy. other dads when I'm dropping my kids off at school, neighbors in passing. It's one of the
Or
greatest.
you're going to get a restraining order, buddy.
I mean, if you really
yeah.
want to unnerve someone, and this could work for ladies too. I used to fuck chicks like you, President. You want to discombobulate someone in an argument or de-escalate a situation fast. That is the one liner.
See, but women can't say that to other women in front of men because the men are going to start with the questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
so what exactly did you do? Like, how did you meet? When did you decide?
So many questions.
Yeah. So it's a non-starter. However, when a man says it to another man,
yeah.
If a woman's there, she's going to be, oh, are you going to get him flowers? Are you guys going to start dating? Are you interested in him?
But it was a very raw and out there comment.
I was
even
like,
for an R-rated movie.
Yeah,
I forgot
like,
it was
whoa.
totally in there, and I'm like, damn.
I was like, have I ever heard this line before, or have they cut it out of every version that I've seen?
Well, you got to remember, most of my viewings of Roadhouse were on TV, and they were in clips and channel surfing, and it would have been TBS, TNT. It would have been one of those where that line would not be in it.
I could have sworn I had rented this movie at least a couple times in the 90s. So I was like, why can I not remember that line? But when that line came out, I was like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable because I don't know what you're trying to convey with that. And I don't think they did a very big up close on the TV versions of the throat being ripped out and the final product of that.
No, that would have been heavily edited too.
I was like, oh shit, he ripped it out. He ripped it out.
Yeah. And then Doc is like, how could you like kill this guy like ripping his throat out?
Who just tried to blow up Emmett. I mean, how could you?
Yeah. And he had a gun on him. Like he would actually said, I'm going to kill you. I'm just going to kill you the old fashioned way, and had a gun on him.
Yeah. But no. Get really like ewed by the throat ripping out.
Yeah. We had many conversations on the playground when this movie came as to whether or not we could or could not rip each other's throats out. Like after this movie made the rounds.
What the fuck kind of playgrounds were you on?
Oh, it's just boys talking. Like, you had your fingers up like Patrick Swayze did, and then you're like, I could probably do it, and now you're an idiot, you can't, and no.
That's fantastic.
Conversations, whether it was Commando, Rambo, Terminator, doesn't matter.
You're like, could I do that? I think I could.
Could we do that? I could probably do it. Wesley later contacts Dalton, threatening that either Elizabeth or Garrett will end up dead if he doesn't yield. Garrett, actually, I think he said he has to make a choice.
Yeah, he has to choose.
Yeah.
And then Wesley's like, no? Okay, I'll flip a coin.
Yeah, just that cartoon villain where he puts the phone down, takes an actual coin out and flips it.
Jesus.
Garrett is attacked but fights off his assailants while Dalton checks on Elizabeth, who is unwilling to talk to him any further. After finding out that Garrett has been murdered, yes, he comes back and he's dead, which I was kind of pissy about.
I was so mad about that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was Sam Elliott.
Sexy Sam Elliott.
Dalton infiltrates Wesley's estate, killing most of his henchmen, and defeats but refrains from killing Wesley. Okay, so like I said, they tried to blow up Emmett. Jimmy had a gun and was going to kill Dalton. Dalton killed him. They killed Wade, sending Dalton to go to Wesley's house, and like really escalated. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? In a good way. Like, all in a good way.
No, killing Wade was the switch. That was the switch where he was like, fuck this shit. I'm done being nice. And he went for it, yo. He was like, I'm going to silent killer this shit.
Well, that car just going across the yard and they're just unloading with their guns on it. And they go looking for him. People are just showing up dead. All but Trigger.
Is it Trigger? I thought he was being called Trigger.
Yeah, who had the polar bear thrown on him.
That was the best.
Yeah, the stuffed polar bear, taxidermy polar bear.
His line.
The line at the end. Yeah, that was pretty good.
It's like that's I carried a watermelon vibes.
But yeah, Brad Wesley has the room full of predators stuffed. Wesley and Dalton fight. This fight, not as good as the previous one with Jimmy in the sand. I get it. A little older. But just as Wesley gets the upper hand and you're watching the movie and you're like, how the fuck did that happen? How is this old guy kicking your ass?
But also you have to figure out like Dalton has literally just went through and fought and killed.
True. Yeah. He
like 5 or 6 grown-ass men who are not old and soft.
Yeah.
So he's probably tired.
And Wesley is about to shoot Dalton. The other business owners show up with their shotguns and then blow Wesley away.
Yes, and Trigger is awake and watching all of this with a stuffed polar bear on him.
On top of him.
As
Elizabeth arrives and reconciles with Dalton, Wesley attempts to shoot him in the back before being shot dead by the locals, including Emmett and Red. Okay, I got ahead of myself again. They get rid of all the guns. Cops show up. I'm like, these guys don't seem that affected by just killing a man. This is very disconcerting. Doc, whose name is Elizabeth, apparently, she's like, I can't stay mad at you, you hot piece of Swayze ass. And the cops are like, what happened? And everyone's like, we didn't see anything. And that's Trigger. Trigger does his line. What do you say?
A polar bear fell.
A polar bear fell on me. And everyone laughs like, ha. The cops are like, I guess this is an unsolved mystery. Sometime later, the modernized and refined Double Deuce bustles with customers while Dalton and Elizabeth, having reconciled their relationship, swim together in the lake. They swim naked. Who is sitting there with them?
I think that might be Emmett. Watching them.
Just
naked. Watching them naked swim in the river.
There's a serious lack of law and order in this town. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And that is our movie.
100%.
So, Roadhouse 1989, what is your score?
Buy it. This is the ultimate microcosm of everything 80s. Like, all of the 80s is in this. The cheesiness, the over-the-top stories, the kind of soap opera vibes. Every character is individual and interesting and not overly well written because, let's be real, this is a cheesy action movie. Let's not sugarcoat this. We're not going to get intriguing dialogue. There isn't going to be a great whodunit. This is not an intellectual thriller. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be. There are cheesy dance scenes, cheesy fight scenes, cheesy humor, and Jeff Healey. And that's all you fucking need. It is a great movie, good fun to watch. I laughed, I giggled, I rolled my eyes. It was a good time. Buy this motherfucker. Tell me what your thoughts are.
All right. My score. This could be considered so bad it is good, but those are usually movies that try to be something they are not or cannot achieve their overall goal of the movie's original vision, creating laughable and outrageous scenes as a consequence. This movie is doing all of this on purpose. So is it a guilty pleasure? Maybe. I think some other audience members' comments and reviews had it right. This is a B movie. This is a silly movie. This is a drive-in movie. This is an outrageous movie. But at the end of the day, this is a fun movie. Mullets, titties, Swayze's ass, Swayze Tai Chi posing. This had a story. No matter how ridiculous it started out, it just kept going and going until you're watching going, I can't believe this is a story. Not because it's confusing, because it's so absurd, it was laughable, but fun. It had acting and budget and direction, and it had it just set a course to Planet Ridiculous, and it didn't deter from that flight plan. It did not pretend it was anything different, and it did not apologize for it. And again, it was fun. It wasn't trying to add substance to the outlandish overall experience it was portraying. It's not realistic, but it pretends that it is. But if you just buy the ticket and buy into it right away and accept the silliness and outrageousness that is Roadhouse, this is a completely enjoyable watch. This is so much fun in its stupidness, one-liners, movies, well-choreographed fight scenes, horrible choreographed fight scenes, monster trucks, and explosions. It's not a good movie in the traditional sense. It's a good movie in spite of the traditional sense. Buy it. Like, buy special edition Blu-ray, DVD. I would love to see interviews behind the scenes. I would love to listen to some commentaries along with the movie. This is definitely worth having in your library. I will watch it again. If for anything, just to put it on, switch the brain off, and enjoy a well-made, ridiculous B movie. It was awesome. Yeah.
It was so good. I was so glad when I finished watching it that I was like, I kind of want to restart it. Like, I'm ready to rewatch it again. I was like, what the hell? I never feel that way. Even the movies I really, really like, I'm like, in a couple days maybe. But I was like, that was so much fun. It was ridiculous, but it was fun.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this one. Okay, so did you watch Roadhouse 2024 on Amazon Prime Video?
I did.
Did you watch it with the commercials, or do you pay the extra couple? This is the first movie I watched. These are both two movies that I started watching with commercials now involved in my fucking viewing.
Yeah, no, I picked no commercials because I watch a lot of shit on Prime because I also have other subscriptions to other channels through Prime.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not commercialing Prime.
Well, they had 2 commercials before the movie started. I'm like, that's fine. Whatever. And then 15 minutes in, 2 more commercials popped up. I'm like, are you kidding me? Am I having to watch commercials every 15 minutes? It's just that one after the first 15 minutes, then there are no more commercials.
Oh, okay.
So it's not too bad, but $2 or $3, I think it's $2 or $3 extra a month.
I think it's like $3 extra a month.
Right. Okay. Roadhouse 2024.
Yar.
What did you think? What's your score? We won't go because we didn't really, not initial thoughts. Let's just dive right into your score.
Dive right in and start talking about it. You know what? Because obviously it's available through streaming. Stream it. Get the free trial. Because even though this is a different movie from the original Roadhouse, it's made in the same spirit. It was good fun. It was a little ridiculous. Conor McGregor is weird and makes me very uncomfortable. He was odd, but I think that helps him in this movie. But overall, I was like, this is super fun. I laughed a lot.
Yeah.
I laughed a lot. I enjoyed it. There was kind of like a mystery element to it, which I appreciated. Great casting. It was a lot of fun. Jake Gyllenhaal looks real good without a shirt on in this movie.
Boy, does he.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, my score is Roadhouse stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Elwood Dalton, an ex-UFC star who ends up as a bouncer hired to clean up a Roadhouse bar called the Roadhouse,
which I loved.
Dalton's backstory is explained as the story progresses. The movie introduces our star and the basic plot that doesn't get that much deeper as it continues.
No.
By having a fighter, Post Malone, kicking the shit out of everyone for a winner takes all, deciding he's done once Dalton enters the ring. Our bar owner, Frankie, instead of Frank, came for one fighter and decides to hire the more dangerous one instead. Great opening. There's a scene. There is a scene here where our star is at rock bottom. Without spoiling it, it's a wonderful and humorous scene. Great effects. Dalton ends up at the Roadhouse. From here, and much like its spiritual original, it just cranks up the crazy and doesn't apologize for it. We get bikers terrorizing the bar, drunks, fights ensue, louder drunks. What I like about Roadhouse is that it takes the original and builds on the original's blueprints and then stops. Gyllenhaal doesn't try to be Patrick Swayze. He makes a character his own while still paying tribute.
Yeah.
There are a few villains, like there are in the first one here, and they are all great. The fight scenes are, of course, great and violent. There is humor.
Yeah.
I laughed a lot. There are explosions, animal attacks. I wasn't expecting that.
Wasn't
One-liners. No, I'm like, this is awesome.
I was like, oh shit, that's a thing that's happening.
Yeah. Sadly, there are no boobies, but where it lacks in boobies, it makes up in Conor McGregor. I don't know how much acting credit I can give him. After seeing many of his fights, Conor McGregor just seemed like he was being himself.
Honestly, I think that's all it was. The only issue I had with Conor, because I was like, look, I'm not expecting him to be a thespian. It's fine. However, they dubbed so much of his dialogue, and I'm like, I have a feeling it's because you couldn't understand him.
Yeah, they
He
had to
has
go
a
back
very thick Irish accent.
and he had to go back in and
Yeah, and I feel
yeah.
like they had to have him redub with kind of a more generic Irish accent where it's, like,
Yeah.
not as thick, because I've also heard interviews with him where I'm like, "What the?" And I'm very comfortable listening to Irish accents and, like, understanding. So when I would hear him speak sometimes, I'd be like, "The fuck are you saying?" So you can understand him through this entire movie. But yeah, no, he was odd.
Yeah.
And I loved his character being that weird, and wow, that was a lot of ass of
Oh,
his.
yeah. A lot of McGregor ass.
A lot
But
of
every
McGregor ass.
but every time he's on screen, he was a blast to watch. Like, he is very over the top lunacy in every scene he was in. The bikers are great, Del,
Mhm.
but especially Mo, the one that was trying to explain how nice he was, and
Arturo Castro? 'Cause
yes.
I looked him up. I was like, "You are my favorite character in the
Yeah.
entire movie."
The crooked sheriff, Big Dick, played
Yes,
by
played by
Joaquim
Joaquin.
del
No, it's not Joaquin,
Almeida?
'cause
No,
he's Joaquin de Almeida. He's
Joaquim Almeida.
Portuguese.
That's right. He has been in a ton.
He's been in
Um,
everything, everything,
yeah.
and he plays everybody.
The main bad guy, Ben Brandt, played by Billy Magnuson, was
Yeah.
awesome. And of course,
He's
Conor McGregor.
so great.
He was
Billy,
really
so
good. Like
great.
when he's getting shaved, when he's just he played a great villain. Jessica
He's
Williams as Frankie was very funny.
She was so good. This
Ellie, the
entire
new
Yeah.
go ahead.
No. I was gonna say, like, she's fantastic. The Honestly, they had a really great group of characters in it.
Yeah.
BK Cannon, who played Laura the bartender, she was fantastic. The guy who played Billy, the bartender who kind of ends up a
Kind of a
bouncer,
crappy bartender ends up being the bouncer. Yeah.
bartender, better bouncer.
Yeah.
I was like, "This is a really great kind of eclectic cast." 'Cause the first movie had a lot of white p Roadhouse 1989 had a shit ton
Well,
of white people in it.
yeah.
I mean, which I get, Missouri, but,
Yeah.
I mean, they had the one Keith David, who was the black bartender. Yay, thank you for giving us one black person. But this movie had everybody in it. Like, everybody was just in it, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice. This is real nice."
Yeah, Ellie, the new doc,
Yeah.
Daniela Melchior.
Melchior.
She doesn't give it up as easy as Kelly Lynch.
No. No, she does not.
And Jake Gyllenhaal as Dalton was I liked. He was great.
Yeah, for Jake Gyllenhaal playing Dalton, you still had a kind of calm and aloofness,
Mhm.
but with him, it's more of a disconnection to his feelings, which makes sense by the end of the movie. But in the beginning, you're just like, "This is a guy who's just kinda rolling through life," and then as you learn more about him, you learn why he's like that, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Wow, guys, look at you putting, like, a subplot in there. It's nice."
Yeah, this is exactly what you think it is. Over the top action with one-liners, thick layer of cheese. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. Yeah, stream it. I will
Yeah.
definitely watch it again. Yeah, it's
Oh,
good.
100%. This was a
Totally
good time.
ridiculous, but all in a good way.
So fucking ridiculous, and you've gotta be ready for some stuff where you're like, "That's a little over the top." But they do set it up where, like, Glass Key, where it takes place, almost feels isolated and like
Yeah.
a community onto its own.
Yeah.
So it makes sense when everybody's like, "Eh, I mean, nothing's really gonna happen." But I really
Yeah,
liked it. I
and
really
even
liked it.
Steve and Charlie, the bookstore owners and stuff.
Yeah, Steve and
The
Charlie.
guy who ran the boat master,
Oh, the boat.
he was good. Yeah,
He
no,
was
I like this movie.
amazing.
It was
Yeah.
a good movie.
It was
Is
a
it
good movie, it was a lot of fun.
is it better than the original?
They're different.
They are very different.
They're very this one, the 2024 is a lot more comedic than the 1989.
Yeah.
Like, the 1989 feels like it was trying to be an action movie with serious intent, but very campy. This one feels like it came out of the gate being like, "We are the campiest action movie ever. Get ready, because it's gonna be a ride." Like,
Yeah.
they walked into it announcing this, whereas I think Roadhouse 1989, they tried to make an action movie with, like, some deeper meaning,
Yeah.
but it was also the '80s, so you can't make a movie that's not campy in the '80s. Whereas Roadhouse 2024 was like, "We're gonna take Roadhouse 1989, we're just going to take it to the max. Like, we are going to go full fucking crazy with it and have a good time. And they did.
Yeah.
They really did.
Yeah, no, this was a cool double watch. Yeah, I enjoyed watching both of them, and I'll watch both of them again. Yeah.
Yeah, no, me too. I was very surprised and very happy. Would have sucked if this one sucked.
Yeah. So we have 2 buy-its for the 1989 Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. You can only stream Roadhouse 2024 on Prime. Definitely worth streaming.
Oh, 100%. Even if you just have to get like a free Prime trial, like, do it, watch the movie, and then if you don't want to keep Prime, that's cool. I fully understand why.
Yeah.
But the bikers made me laugh, man.
Yeah, the bikers were cool. That whole opening scene with them. Well, it's in the preview, the slap scene.
Yeah, the slap scene, but
so good. But there was more.
Thing
was
amazing because I was like, oh, maybe it just starts really aggressive, but then you watch it, you're like, oh my god.
No, it just keeps going.
Fantastic.
And gets more and more ridiculous. But again, in a very good way, in a fun way. Yeah.
This movie is a lot of fun. And I mean, I wouldn't recommend, there's a lot of violence, so don't let your kids watch it. But I mean, your teens can definitely watch this.
Yeah.
And it's funny as fuck.
Yeah. And it has probably one of the best, it has a special Easter egg ending with Conor McGregor at the end of the movie, but it also has the ending credits were probably one of the most fun watching ending credits, where it had the action scenes and then the slowdown. You have to watch it. The ending credits of this movie were fun to watch. And then the special Easter egg ending with Conor McGregor was pretty funny too. No, this was good. So we have buy Roadhouse 1989. Definitely stream Roadhouse 2024. Yeah.
They did not disappoint us with 2024.
Yeah, sometimes cheesiness and ridiculous and B movies are awesome.
This is what we need right now in the world.
Yeah.
We need more of this.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And until the next movie we remember liking.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking.